For example, mammals like sweet foods or foods with amino acids that contain valuable nutrients. Mammals avoid toxins and alkaloids. We perceive them as bitter. And work from Charles Zucker, Nick Reba, and their colleagues has demonstrated that these mammalian taste responses are hardwired using exactly the same principle that hardwires worm attraction and avoidance responses. There are different kinds of taste cells in the tongue. T1R taste cells detect these attractive tastants. T2R taste cells detect bitter compounds. Each expresses certain G protein coupled receptors that detect these molecules in your diet. Now, to ask whether the cells can drive these innate hardwire behaviors, the Zucker and Reba labs did the following experiment. They took a receptor called a RASL receptor. It's a receptor that's not found in nature. It's engineered in the laboratory, and it detects a compound that's not found in nature, that's only found in the laboratory. They put the RASL receptor either on the T2R cells that sense bitter compounds, or they put it on the T1R cells that sense sweet compounds, and they asked the mice, what do you think about this RASL ligand? Naive mice that have never seen a RASL ligand don't respond to it one way or another. But if they have this receptor on their bitter cells, they reject the RASL ligand. They perceive it as bitter. And if they have this receptor on their sweet cells, they drink the ligand. They perceive it as sweet. So the conclusion from this is that our basic acceptance of sweet and rejection of bitter substances is encoded by neural pathways. And this idea was intuited hundreds of years ago by the French philosopher and mathematician René Descartes, who in this illustration here showed that a person putting their foot near a fire would generate a nerve signal up an innate pathway that would cause them to remove their foot from the fire. They didn't have to think about this stimulus. They didn't have to learn about this stimulus. They had an anatomical pathway for an innate preference that told them that this fire was too hot. And so by understanding genes, neurons, and brains, we can see the beginning of a principle for one idea about how behaviors emerge, and particularly how innate behaviors are built into a nervous system to help an animal respond sensibly to its environment from its moment of birth.